see here. Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome to the channel, Engelgeist. Let me see if my chat is working. Is that going to enter? And it's not. Why is that? Oh, there we go. Is it going through? Is it going through? I hope it is. All right, this is your August 2020 Tarotscope for the sign of Aquarius. So for those of you with a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Aquarius, you would want to watch this video just to get a little insight into how potentially your August may go for you. If you are somebody who cares very deeply about an Aquarian, then you would want to watch this. You could certainly cross-watch this and kind of get an idea of what sort of month they might be experiencing in August. All of the other air signs are done. Libra and Gemini were done earlier today, and the fire and earth signs are done. They are on the business page or on the YouTube channel if you want to go look at like cross-watching your sun, moon, and rising. Sometimes that can even give you a better idea of an overall picture of what your month might look like. So that's available to you too. Okay, so let's see, what does Aquarius need to know? This is a broad spectrum reading, keeping that in mind. It's going to be, sort of open for interpretation. You apply what you need to apply, take what you like and leave the rest. If stuff doesn't make sense, that's completely okay. It may not necessarily be for you this month, or you might be working on something completely different. So that's okay too. All right, let's see. What does Aquarius need to know for August of 2020? So this first card is your center card. This tells me a bit about sort of where you're centered at during the month of 2020, or during the month of August. It's not necessarily, you'll kind of go in and out of this card throughout the month. So this card gives me a little insight into sort of what you're where you're centered at, what you could potentially be creating, both for the month of August and potentially into the future. Oh wow! So this was the first card for Gemini. So this is the Four of Swords. I like this card as being your guys' center. I said the same thing for Gemini. They had it in the same position. This is the second time this has happened in the August readings. I feel like Aries and, not Aries, who was it? Who did I start with? I did start with Aries. I think it was Aries and Leo had the same center card also, the first two out, and now you guys have done this with Gemini. So with Geminis, I told them that this was about creating stability in the mind sector, which is kind of how I see the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords can sort of represent a little bit of conflict, a little bit of back and forth energy, but ultimately it leads to this place of stability. I always think of fours as being, a place where we get grounded or stabilized in our thoughts. Swords being the element of air is definitely your home suit, which is good. I think that Aquarius tends to be expansive in their thinking. To me, this feels a little bit rigid. I'm not exactly sure why, but I get this when I'm looking at this card and I'm thinking about your guys' sign. To me, this makes me feel a slightly defensive, slightly a little bit guarded. It feels sort of pulled in. Not how I normally associate Aquarian energy. Aquarian energy to me is a little bit more expansive and open and, pondering I'm just using this as an example, pondering sort of the myths of the universe and expanding upon those things, going to the far outer reaches of the mind. To me, this four says, no, not this month. This month is about staying clear, staying sane, staying sort of more grounded than we normally might be. To me, I feel like there is a little bit of a critical nature to this card. I explained this also in the Gemini reading. These two ladies to me feel a little bit like they're kind of looking at somebody else and maybe possibly judging them or discussing them. So Aries might be a little bit critical of their environment or paying attention to their immediate environment. So And I think that that's for the betterment of it. I also think that this is about, when I'm looking at this feels to me like, where do we fit in our immediate environment? How well do we fit? And this is more of like from a thought or intellectual sort of standpoint, is like, is our environment sort of working for us, or is it not? Are we kind of in alignment with our environment? Are we stable within our environment, or are we not? So that's going to be the focus for my Aquarians for the month of August. I don't think that this is a bad card per se. I think that it's your home element, and it leads you guys to this place of understanding where you fit and how you fit, and making it fit towards more your needs than the needs of others. But I do feel like with the back and forth swords, I always get this vibe from this card, is that there is a little bit of sort of maybe cross communication, or things that need to be worked out or looked at, like kind of with a little bit of discernment or extra attention during the month of August, so that we can feel more comfortable, so that we can create whatever it is that we want further down the line. All right, so now let's look at the foundation card. This is the card that sort of opened the door for everything to be the way that it is today. It's also sometimes this card that, the memory of this card that sort of pushes things forward, or sort of keeps everything held in place at the very least. So this is the Ten of Swords. Not the best card, but it speaks to the idea of my Aquarians being hurt in some way, or possibly betrayed. The Ten of Swords is the closing of a chapter. Some of you guys might have just recently ended some things in the last few months, and it's pretty final. It came with its fair share set of sort of lessons, mental anguish, upset, strife, that sort of thing. But I think that in the end, the actual, like, 10 aspect of this card speaks to this idea that my Aquarians, even though it might have been hard for you, you actually learned something in the process. You've actually been able to close the chapter and start, or close the door, and start to begin something new, right? That's this Four of Swords in the center. It's kind of like, okay, so where do we fit now that this is ended, or now that we've seen this for what it truly is? And this Ten of Swords is definitely like kind of a betrayal card, or the way that the one thing I do love about this card is they depict this two nursemaids taking care of the hurt soldier. So it's not, as painful as original Ten of Swords imagery, but to me it still indicates that we've been harmed or hurt in some way through our environment and through situations. And I feel like these nursemaids are probably aspects of the Aquarians' nurturing nature, to take care of themselves, right? To mend themselves through a hard experience, through a loss, through a betrayal of some sort, where it's no longer, we can't pretend anymore, right? That also could explain the constriction that I feel in that Four of Swords. That kind of, we're not quite as open to allowing others in right now. We're not as open to sort of being the expansive, kind of open, friendly energy that I normally associate with Aquarians. To me, that Four of Swords feels a little bit guarded and a little bit protective, but that makes sense because this Ten of Swords is the foundation. This foundation could be something from the recent past. It could be something from the further back past, but whatever it is, it's something that's significant that we're kind of passing through or letting go of, right? That's kind of my feeling. That's the sort of completion aspect of the 10. So if there's old ideas or old ways of thinking that still continue to haunt us up until recently, we're kind of separating ourselves from them. And I think that that ultimately is a good thing. I like that my Aquarius are working within their own home element in the month of August. Not only are they centered in it, which is this element of air, but they're also being propelled forward by it, or potentially haunted by it in this Ten of Swords, right? But you guys are doing, to me, it's kind of like what's the word I want to say? Like, you're doing your own kind of, your housekeeping for yourself. Does that make sense? Like, you're in your own element, sorting things out, getting some clarity, and I think that that's going to be a good thing for my Aquarius, right? The release of this Ten of Swords scenario, whatever it was for you, is going to serve you in the long run. Okay, so the next card is up above you. This is the Solar Spirit card. It tells me a bit about where your Solar Spirit is at and what it is doing. Okay, bitches. Get it, Miss Empress, bring it on in. You have Major Arcana. You are visited by one of the most feminine cards of the deck, the Empress. She is all about creativity, birth, fertility, new ideas. She could even be pregnancy for some of my Aquarians that might be on the verge of having a baby. She can sometimes represent babies. I'm not necessarily future predicting babies for you guys, but I do feel like she represents sort of a new dawn. Excuse me. She's empowered. She's Major Arcana. She's no joke, right? She is this lovely, nurturing sort of energy that resides within us at the spirit level, that is strong, that is creative, that is fertile for new ideas and things of that nature. So I feel like this energy coming from the spirit towards us in the month of August is actually really beautiful. I think this is some of this nursemaid energy that we were maybe experiencing in the past as we were healing ourselves and sort of getting over some of the past hurts of things. We bring about these nursemaids, right? Running this energy of this self-care brings about the open, like almost opens the door for the energy of this Empress, this nurturing, loving, mother-like energy to come in and really guide us through the month of August, right? And we want to be guided to a certain degree. The Empress is associated with the planet Venus in the sign of Taurus, but Venus ultimately is what I want to pay attention to because I feel like the Empress is based in love, right? And so to me, with this love kind of coming down, or this like sort of nurturing motherly love that's coming down from our spirit during this month, it helps us to kind of really break free and separate from the past and really start to figure out and stabilize our now and our mind in the now and get clear on some of that stuff and be very sort of firm in what it is we choose to think and create and the power that holds. Okay, because her coupled with this Four of Swords can be a very, to me, it feels like a powerful combination because the Empress is bringing about, from the soul space, right? The Empress is bringing about her creative prowess, right? I mean, this chick is ready to have a baby and give birth to new ideas all the time. That's the beauty of her, right? So when she comes in, she's saying, or what I feel like she's saying is she's giving you the option to utilize and run this creative energy from this spirit, which allows you to kind of also be really aware of what you are thinking, because what you are thinking, you will probably, whether intentionally or unintentionally, create more of it in the month of August if you're not careful with this Empress sitting up above you. Okay? Now, the next two cards are the outside influences. These are either positive or negative, but they could be influencing us in the month of August. They can be anything from people to events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us. So one is the Ace of Pentacles. And if you look at that, she's another woman just sort of sitting there in the center, right? And to me, this is like similar to this Empress who's sitting there in the center being doted upon. This Ace of Pentacles feels like this creative energy that we have in our spirit space, whether we're aware of it or not. My Aquarians, you guys, there's opportunities coming in. This Ace of Pentacles, Pentacles being the element of earth, right? Which is also that Taurian vibe of the Empress. This Pentacles being the element of earth, Aces being that idea of like sort of fresh ideas, new beginnings, inspiration, right? Earth being the element of sort of material wealth, financial new beginnings, that sort of thing. There's this opportunity that's coming in for my Aquarians that has to do with the betterment of our situation through new thinking, through new thought, through not necessarily residing in the past, but bringing in the creativity of the now and into the future. This sounds a little strange. I sound like I'm, I don't know, like some sort of, I don't know, it sounds like I'm future predicting, but that's kind of the sense that I'm getting from this, is with the creativity of the Empress and then this Ace of Pentacles sitting here on the outside in the month of August. I would not be surprised if some of you guys have great ideas about new businesses or new collaborations with people that inspire you, that challenge you, that excite you in ways that you maybe haven't felt in a little while, especially with this Ten of Swords going on in the foundation. The only thing is what I want to say is this Four of Swords, it feels a little bit constrained and reluctant and a little bit more discerning. You might be a little bit not threatened by this Ace of Swords energy, but a little bit like, can I let this in? Because some of you might have experienced something from the past that created this Ten of Swords energy that is the foundation, that looks very similar to the excitement that comes in on this Ace of Pentacles. I don't know if I said that correctly. I hope that makes sense. What I mean by that is that, like, okay, let's say this Ace of Pentacles, and I'm just going to use this as an example. For some of you this may apply, for some of you this may not. Say this Ace of Pentacles is a new relationship, right? Possible romantic relationship. Or you could say it's a new job, right? And it comes in the month of August, and we get excited about it, and we're like, wow, I never even thought about this as being an option. I never even considered dating this person, or I never considered even applying to that place. But yet, I feel inspired and excited by that idea. But then you start to think about it, and you're like, yeah, but remember, like 2 years ago, this is your mind, this is the Ten of Swords coming in and saying, yeah, but remember like 2 years ago when you dated that other guy that you were just as excited about, or you took that other job that you thought was really going to change everything, and it actually didn't, and it ended miserably, and you ended up having to walk out and tell everybody to fuck off, or whatever it was, right? That's sort of this energy here. Be mindful of that, because we don't want to stop this Ace of Pentacles. This Empress up here in our spirit space says, let the Ace of Pentacles roll in. Let it, these two ladies are exactly in the same position almost. It's just this sort of seated, fertile, wonderful, earth-giving, mother love kind of vibe that's going on. Are my Aquarians going to use their little minds to talk their way out of it? Don't. All right, the next outside influence is the Eight of Cups. I love this. Cups is the emotions and deals with the element of water, which is, to me, that's my home energy, so I love it. But the Eight of Cups is kind of a little bit, we have this man walking away. If you look in the foreground of this card, or way in the background, not in the foreground, it's like this man sort of walking away. To me, there could be an emotional release, a let go of some sort. Ultimately, I believe that eights bring about balance, even if there's a loss or something that happens there. To me, I think that there might be, with this Ten of Swords in the foundation, right, this mental energy of that's kind of haunting some of us or propelling some of us forward. Maybe the memory of it could be making some decisions for us. It may bring about these situations where there could be emotional situations, like the Eight of Cups, that could feel like losses or could feel like challenges that may frustrate us. But what we choose to focus on is what we will get more of. That's the Empress up in the spirit space, right? We can choose to be open to the new ideas and to the possibility of new beginnings, or we can choose to sort of maybe dwell in the emotionality of past losses. Either way, even if we veer more towards the Eight of Cups and focusing more on, say, the emotionality of past losses, I think that will bring about a balance and a release. That's that man walking away. To me, I feel like this is us maybe releasing through situations that we deal with in the month of August. There might be opportunities to release old emotions that we no longer need or that no longer serve us. But we also want to make sure that we are giving attention and acceptance of this Ace of Pentacles energy coming in. There's something new coming in, guys. To me, I feel like these two cards are at odds with these two cards. Like there's some serious opportunity for creation and newness, and I feel like this Four of Swords is in the middle, kind of going, which way do I go? Which way do I choose? What feels safer? And it's like the excitement and the newness maybe scares my Aquarians a little bit, because you guys have maybe felt this excitement or think you have felt this excitement about something else that maybe didn't necessarily work in the past. But like I said, this Eight of Cups speaks to this idea that sort of situations in the month of August will give us opportunities to kind of look at things through maybe a more emotional lens and let go of what doesn't serve us, and hopefully get to a place of more balance around that. I mean, it's not like we have to have one and not the other. We can have both, right? We can have the Eight of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles both working in our favor. Just one might feel a little bit more, not painful, but the Eight of Cups requires a little bit of like maybe loss or sadness, but that's okay, right? Because it brings about this sort of this balance and this acceptance, right? All right, this last card is the potential outcomes card. And what I mean by potential outcomes is this card sort of tells us a little bit about sort of where the majority of the Aquarians will end up at the end of the month, barring that nothing major changes. So it's not set in stone by any means. If this card is something negative and we don't want to have it happen, we can use this card as a warning to make choices and changes in our life to affect the outcome so that it does not come to pass. But if this card is something that we like or want to see happen, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading towards it, and we don't have to do much to experience it. It'll just come naturally. So let's see what that is. So we have the Five of Pentacles. So I feel like I'm gonna be honest. Five of Pentacles is not the best of cards, only because we have that Ace coming in. It feels like my Aquarians may be fighting some of this Ace of Pentacles energy, fighting some of this creative energy that's in the Empress that I see in the soul space. Are my Aquarians, this is just a question I pose to each and every one of you, are you guys in alignment with sort of trusting yourself, your higher self, and what it is that you desire, and the ability to create that and knowing that you deserve that, right? Are you willing to sort of let go of the fears and the pains of the past and the losses that might be experienced in doing so to be able to achieve these higher goals that you so badly want and deserve? But it feels to me like with this Five of Pentacles, there's this reluctance to let in that Ace of Pentacles energy. There's this reluctance, like the struggle of the Ten of Swords and the Eight of Cups sort of feels like it's this creative energy. It's creating this Five of Pentacles sort of setback. It's not a horrible card, right? But it is not the best card either. It's kind of like we're taking the Ace of Pentacles and not fully letting it in, right? Not trusting it enough, and maybe experiencing some challenges because of it, right? Like I feel like my Aquarians are up for the fight though. I look at this woman in this card and she's fighting against the wind with the flower, right? So even though we may be taking losses, we're not giving in. My Aquarians are standing strong and trying to hold tight. But I feel like we're looking at things through this filter of expectation of loss and betrayal. And I feel like the power of this Empress card sitting in our soul space is almost like our own soul is like, okay, if that's what you want to focus on, that's what I'm going to give you more of. But like there's just as much, like I said, this outcome card is not set in stone, Aquarians. The Ace of Pentacles and this Empress card speaks to this idea that if we can just shift our belief towards that of possibility, towards that of creativity, towards that of, like I almost want to say this Four of Swords, which feels sort of restrictive and pulled in, maybe we need to expand that a little bit. Allow ourselves to truly graduate from whatever this is from our past that maybe still sneaks in and causes us to refrain or not trust. Now, because it is August and the Lion's Gate is happening, I'm doing an extra card this month for all of the signs. This is from the Divine Doors deck. This card is a doorway that might be opening or closing for my Aquarian, something to focus on, something to be aware of. So let's see what's going on for the Aquarians. What do they need to know for their Lion's Gate? Okay, so for your guys' door, I love this door. The path is there. It seems rather clear. I love that there's like, it almost looks like a light emanating through the doorway. The door is wide open. This is very similar to Libra's door. I feel like they had this is the Libra's door. It happens to be on the top of the deck. It didn't really shuffle too deeply back into the deck. But it's got definitely a similarity in the openness, in the nature aspect to it. With Libras, I was talking about how nature, there's this connection to nature. And the difference that I notice in these two doors, just to show you as an example, is there's a very clear defined path here for Aquarius. I feel like Aquarius is a little bit like penned in. That's this Ten of Swords energy. That's this Four of Swords energy, where I was feeling it feels a bit restrictive. Although you guys have a clear path and you understand where you want to go or how you want to go, I feel like that clarity of that path or the definedness of that path might fence you in a little bit. It might be a little bit frustrating for this Empress energy that wants to come in and be creative, because when we look to the hillside in the background, it's just all green and flush, right? It just opens wide up and it's like room for growth, healing, all of that. And I said that this similarly in Libras, all of this plant work beyond the door speaks to these ideas of growth, harmony, healing, that sort of thing. It gives me those sort of vibes. To me, there's really an emanation or a light shining from this doorway, more so even than Libras. So I feel like your door or your gate, your opportunity is obvious in the month of August. More obvious probably than some of the other signs that I've been seeing. Their doorways are a little bit more hidden. Yours seems pretty obvious. It seems wide open. The thing is I like how clear the path is on this picture, but I also feel like this also is somewhat restrictive. Like, are we able to think creatively and outside of the box with the ingenuity of this Ace of Pentacles or with the creativity of this Empress? Are we allowing ourselves to think outside of the box and maybe step off the path as we step through the door? Or what ends up happening? Do we panic? Do we freak out? Do we think, oh my god, I've stepped off the path, it's all going to fall apart like it has in the past? Let's see what the card says. Begin here. Do not fear when travel brings... Do not fear what travel brings, my dear. The moment is yours. Begin now here. Pass this on. So to me, when I hear this, I'm going to read it twice because I've read all of these twice to everyone. Begin here. Do not fear what travel brings, my dear. The moment is yours. Begin now here. Pass this on. So what I think this is about is when it says begin here, I feel like we are measuring some of our new opportunities or chances, creative opportunities, romantic opportunities, whatever these things are that are coming to us through this Ace of Pentacles and through this Empress energy. We might be a little bit distrustful of it or worried about it because of this Ten of Swords from the past, because of this Eight of Cups sort of emotionality and potential for loss, or this worry and fear that we might fear that if I make myself vulnerable to that, or if I go after that, if I pursue that goal, I could get hurt like it had happened in the past. The truth is with this begin here, it speaks to this idea of no, like just start, just do it. Don't let the past dictate, just begin, get started, move forward, and go, right? Like you have to trust at a certain level. The strongest and highest card that you guys have in this spread, aside from the Ace, is the Empress. Right? And she sits in the soul space. She's the most benevolent card in this spread here, right? She's in your soul space. This is about trusting your soul, not your mind. And so this begin here card speaks to this idea of just like, let's take it from the here and now. Don't bring the past into things. Like, it's that idea of the book, what is the book called by Ram Dass, Be Here Now? Like, begin here, be here now is making me think of that. The Ten of Swords, although we've learned lessons, and they're valuable lessons from the experiences we've had in the past, we don't want to let those fears of those lessons, the betrayals of those lessons, pepper our current time thinking through the month of August, where we fear the new opportunities that are coming to us, and we funnel them or limit them in such a way that we end up creating struggle for ourselves. There's a gift that's trying to come through here that I almost feel like Aquarians could be trying to block if we're not careful. we think the Ten of Swords down there says to me that I feel like my Aquarians feel like they're doing the right thing and protecting themselves. But really the truth is that you're sort of potentially limiting the levels of opportunity you could receive in the month of August if you actually stayed open. And so the door, which is rather open during the Lion's Gate, is to begin here. Like, be here in the now. Let go of any and all past emotions, thoughts, misgivings, whatever. You don't have to forget them, but don't let them dictate your opportunity for receiving what's coming to you now. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to open up the chat window and see if anybody has any questions. Stephanie says, thanks, I'm married to an Aquarius. Hi, Tima. So I hope that makes sense, you guys. If you have any further questions, you can always, just leave a comment on the video. And again, if this doesn't make sense, that doesn't necessarily mean that anything's wrong or bad or any of this is going to happen to you. This is a broad spectrum reading for people with Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising, or heavily placed planets in Aquarius. So I think this is about getting out of our past and into our now, trusting ourselves and our higher selves especially, and allowing those blessings to come in, and then really truly embracing those blessings as best we can, instead of fighting against them for fear that we might lose them or not be able to accomplish them because of, past experiences that dictate to us that that's automatically what's going to happen. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this video out. Share it with your friends that might enjoy it, or to any groups that might enjoy it. Please check out my other videos if you know your Sun, Moon, or Rising. You might want to watch all three. That way you can get a better sense of what could potentially be going on with you throughout the month of August. Like, if you have 3 positive readings that sound really good and uplifting, that means you could have a very great, opportunistic August. You have to kind of discern and weigh that all out and apply these things where they belong. And as I've always said, take whatever you need and sort of leave the rest, guys. All right. You're welcome, Chuck It, Evangelista. Have a great day, you guys. And I will see you tomorrow with the water signs. All right. So we will see you guys then for Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And that will complete the August readings. All of the other ones are already up, so you guys might have to go back a few days to see if you've got fire signs, and the earth signs were yesterday. So they should be up on the business page or on the YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed to me and you're watching me on Facebook, please go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and vice versa. If you're watching on YouTube, please go over and like my Facebook business page, just so that you can find out and figure out where I'm at and what I'm doing at any given time. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day, you guys, and enjoy your August. All right, bye-bye.